Okay, so I want you to picture, just for a second, a standard finance textbook. What do you see?
Oh, I know this one. I see charts. I see a lot of line graphs and probably a bunch of Greek symbols, formulas that feel like they belong in a physics lab.
Exactly. We're taught to treat money like it's a hard science, like physics. You plug in data point A, you apply formula B, and you always get result C.
Right. It feels safe because it feels controllable. But the source we're diving into today argues the exact opposite.
We are unpacking The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and his whole premise is that finance isn't physics at all.
No, it's not about the math. Not really. It's about the person doing the math, their behavior.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to understand why really smart people do incredibly dumb things with their money.
And on the flip side, why sometimes ordinary people, people with no fancy degrees, can just wipe the floor with the so-called experts.
To kick this all off, Housel gives us these two real-life figures, and they could not be more different.
The janitor and the executive.
It sounds like the setup for a joke,
Yeah.
but it's totally real.
Yeah.
So on one side, you have a guy named Ronald Reed.
Lived in rural Vermont.
Yeah, he was a janitor and a gas station attendant. He fixed cars, he swept floors at JCPenney, and his hobby was chopping firewood.
A very quiet, very modest life.
Incredibly modest. He dies at 92, and when he dies, he makes international headlines. Not because of how he lived, but because this humble janitor had a net worth of over $8 million.
8 million.
Wow.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, because I know what you're thinking,
Right.
he did not win the lottery.
No lottery tickets,
Yep.
no rich uncle who left him a fortune,
Yeah.
just a janitor's salary. Now, put a pin in that.
Okay.
On the other side of the ring, Richard Fuscone, Harvard-educated, MBA, and executive at Merrill Lynch. He was on the 40 under 40 lists.
So he's the absolute definition of financial literacy. He has the pedigree that Ronald Reed completely lacks.
He had it all. He retired in his 40s to this massive mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. And I'm not talking about a regular big house. This place had 2 elevators, 2 swimming pools.
Because one pool is just never enough, I guess.
Apparently not. But then 2008 happens, the financial crisis. And while the janitor is just quietly compounding his millions, the Harvard exec, he hits a wall.
He was too leveraged.
So much debt to support that lifestyle that he had zero room for error. He went bankrupt. The mansion was foreclosed on.
So the janitor ends up leaving millions to his local hospital, and the finance pro ends up with nothing.
It just breaks your brain a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because in what other industry is that story even possible?
That is the perfect question. I mean, think about it. Could a janitor perform a heart transplant better than a Harvard-trained surgeon?
No, absolutely not. You'd be arrested.
Right. Could he design a skyscraper better than an architect? No. In those fields, your training and your intelligence directly dictate your success.
But not in investing.
In investing, a janitor can outperform a Harvard MBA because investing isn't a study of finance. It's a study of how people behave with money.
Behavior beats intelligence. That feels like a huge claim.
It is, but Housel backs it up. Ronald Reed won because he had patience. He had consistency. He had a lack of ego. Those are behavioral traits.
And Fuscone failed because he was greedy and impatient. Behavioral flaws.
Exactly. You can't put greed into an Excel spreadsheet and get an answer.
That's actually a huge relief to hear. I've always thought, I'm bad at math, so I must be bad at money.
But the math is secondary. I mean, it's not irrelevant, but it's secondary. Think of the math as the engine. Your psychology is the driver. And if the driver is drunk on greed, it doesn't matter how powerful that engine is, you're going to crash.
But that's also kind of terrifying. It means my own brain is the biggest risk factor. And if we can't just rely on formulas, we have to talk about the invisible forces at play.
And the biggest one is luck.
Luck. And its evil twin, Rith.
Exactly. We love to think that we're the masters of our own destiny. Work hard, make good choices, get good results.
It's a clean narrative.
But the world is messy. 100% of your outcomes are not caused by 100% of your actions. There's always randomness.
The story that really brought this home for me was the one about Bill Gates. We all know the whole genius founder story.
Sure, smart guy, dropped out of Harvard, started Microsoft.
But Housel points out this one specific statistic about Gates's high school that I'd never heard before.
It's a wild stat. So Bill Gates went to Lakeside School in Seattle. In 1968, the school bought a computer.
And just for context, in 1968, most universities didn't even have a computer.
Right. So Housel does the math. In 1968, there were about 303 million high school-age people in the world. Maybe 300 of them went to Lakeside.
So the odds of a teenager having access to a computer right at that moment were basically 1 in a million.
Literally 1 in a million. Gates himself has said if there had been no Lakeside, there would have been no Microsoft. He was brilliant, he worked hard, yes, but he also had that 1 in a million stroke of luck.
But here's the other side of that coin. The story I had never heard. The story of Ken Evans.
Oh, this one hits hard. Ken Evans was Bill Gates' best friend at Lakeside, and by all accounts, he was just as smart, just as driven.
He knew the computer just as well as Gates did.
Yeah, they were going to be partners. They had the roadmap for Microsoft in their heads before they even graduated.
So why don't we know his name?
Because before they graduated, Ken Evans died in a mountaineering accident.
Wow.
And this is where the math just comes back to haunt you. The odds of a high school student dying in a mountaineering accident in the U.S. are roughly 1 in a million.
So you have these two best friends. One gets the 1 in a million luck ticket. The other gets the 1 in a million risk ticket.
Precisely. And the problem is we suffer from survivorship bias. We study Bill Gates and say, I need to be like him, but we completely ignore the Ken Evanses of the world, the people who had the skill but just got unlucky.
So does that mean we should just give up if it's all luck?
No, of course not. Hard work matters. But it means we need a little humility. When things go well, don't assume you're a genius. And when things go badly, don't assume you're an idiot. Sometimes you just catch the wrong side of probability.
Be forgiving of yourself. I like that. So if luck and risk are always there, what can we trust? Because we still have to make decisions.
And that leads to my favorite chapter title in the whole book, No One's Crazy.
This is so important for empathy. We look at other people's money habits and we judge them constantly. Why is he buying that crypto? Why is she hoarding cash? We think they're being irrational.
But Housel says they're not crazy. They're just shaped by a totally different personal history. Your own experience with money might be like 0.001% of what's happened in the world, but it makes up 80% of how you think the world works.
Can you give me a concrete example?
Sure. Take the stock market. If you were born in 1970, the S&P 500 went up tenfold during your teens and 20s. You learned deep down that stocks are magic.
Stocks only go up.
Exactly. But if you were born in 1950, the market basically went nowhere for those same years. You learned that stocks are a scam that just eats your money.
So you have two equally smart people looking at the same chart today, and they see completely different things.
And neither one is crazy. But the best example of this, the one that really gets people talking, is lottery tickets.
I found this part fascinating. I've always been so judgmental about this. The data shows the lowest income households spend the most on lottery tickets, hundreds of dollars a year.
It's a huge chunk of their income.
And from my perspective, that's insane. That $400 is your emergency fund. Why burn it on a 1 in a billion chance?
It looks like bad math to you because you have other options. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can't save your way to a mansion. It's mathematically impossible.
So the lottery ticket, it isn't a financial investment.
No, it's a purchase of hope. For $5, you get to spend the afternoon dreaming of a different life. Housel isn't saying it's a good financial decision. He's saying it's a rational emotional decision given their reality.
That really checks my privilege. It shifts the question from why can't you do math to I don't understand your reality.
Exactly. And speaking of reality, let's talk about the pain of never having enough. Because while some people are buying hope, the ultra-rich are often buying their own destruction.
The story of Rajat Gupta. Man, this one makes you want to just scream at the book.
It's a modern tragedy. So this guy, Rajat Gupta, was the CEO of McKinsey. He came from nothing, an orphan from Kolkata, and climbed to the absolute peak. By 2008, he was worth $100 million.
Let's just pause on that.
Yeah.
$100 million. That's your great-grandkids are set for life money.
You can do anything you want, but for him, it wasn't enough. He was hanging out with billionaires, and he looked at his $100 million and felt poor.
Poor with $100 million.
Comparison is the thief of joy. He wanted to be a billionaire. So what did he do? He started insider trading, leaked information from the Goldman Sachs board.
And he got caught. Of course he got caught.
Went to prison, ruined his reputation. He risked what he had and needed for something he didn't have and didn't need.
That's the quote that just sticks with you. But why is it so hard to stop? Why couldn't he just enjoy his money?
Because the goalpost is always moving. It's social comparison. If you make $500,000, you don't look at the average person, you look at the guy making $2 million.
And the guy making $2 million looks at the guy making $100 million.
And that guy looks at Jeff Bezos. The ceiling is infinite. The only way to win is to define your enough. It's knowing when to stop taking risks that could ruin you.
It's knowing when to walk away from the table.
It's a superpower. And you know who has that superpower? Warren Buffett.
Ah, the Oracle of Omaha. But we're not talking about his stock picking, are we? We're talking about his longevity.
Yes, everyone wants to know how to invest like Buffett. Nobody asks how to wait like Buffett.
There's a stat here that I had to read like 3 times because I thought it was a typo. $81.5 billion of Warren Buffett's net worth came after his 65th birthday.
It sounds fake, but it's true. It's the magic of compounding. He started investing when he was 10 years old. He's been in the game for over 80 years.
Housel does this thought experiment. What if Buffett was, a normal guy? Started investing at 30, retired at 60.
And let's say he still gets his amazing 22% annual returns. He's still a genius investor. He just has a shorter time frame.
What happens to his net worth?
It drops from $84.5 billion to about $11.9 million.
Wait, what? From billions to millions?
Yes. He'd be a rich guy nobody's ever heard of. The difference between being a millionaire and a mega billionaire was just time.
That's 99.9% of his wealth, just gone.
That's compounding. It's not linear, it's exponential, it explodes at the end. The big results only happen if you stay in the game long enough.
The analogy Housel uses about the ice ages really helped me visualize this.
It's a perfect analogy. Scientists used to think ice ages were caused by super cold winters. Which makes sense, right? Big ice.
Yeah.
Big cold.
Sure.
But they were wrong. Ice ages are caused by summers that are just a little bit cooler.
Cooler summers. How does that work?
Well, imagine a winter where 10 feet of snow falls. If the summer is hot, it all melts. You start from 0 next year. But if the summer is just a bit cooler, maybe only 9 feet melts. So 1 foot is left over.
Okay, so you've got a base layer.
Exactly. And that base layer reflects sunlight, which keeps the ground cooler, so even less melts the next summer. And over thousands of years, that tiny bit of leftover snow turns into mile-thick ice sheets.
So in finance, the cool summer is just leaving your money alone.
Yes. Don't interrupt the process. You don't need scorching hot returns. You just need to avoid melting your capital by panicking and selling. Shut up and wait is a powerful strategy.
But waiting feels boring. It feels like deprivation when I could go buy a Tesla today.
And that's because we confuse being rich with being wealthy, and this might be the most important distinction in the entire book.
I've always used those words interchangeably.
They're totally different. Rich is visible. It's current income. It's the guy driving the Ferrari the Instagram posts from a fancy resort. You know they're rich because they spent the money to show you.
Okay, so then what is wealth?
Wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the Ferrari not purchased. It's the first-class ticket not bought. Wealth is income that hasn't been spent yet. It's hidden.
This reminds me of that story about Rihanna in the book.
Oh, it's a classic. She nearly went bankrupt and sued her financial advisor. And his response in court was just legendary. He said, "Was it really necessary to tell her that if you spend money on things, you will end up with the things and not the money?"
It's so simple. It's almost painful. We say, I want to be a millionaire, but what we really mean is, I want to spend $1 million.
Which is the literal opposite of being a millionaire. If you spend it, it's gone. You just have a lot of stuff.
So the key to building wealth is really just suppressing your ego.
Housel gives us a formula for it. Savings equals income minus ego.
Walk me through that. Income minus ego.
Think about it. Beyond your basic needs, most spending is for your ego. It's spending to show other people that you have money. It's signaling, look at my car, respect me.
But he calls this the man in the car paradox. And this really hit home for me.
Right. When you see a Ferrari drive by, do you think, wow, that guy driving is so cool?
No. I look at the car and I think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool.
Exactly. You don't care about the driver at all. You just use their car as a prop for your own fantasy. So the driver spent all that money for respect he isn't actually getting.
The irony is that no one is as impressed with your stuff as you are.
Nobody. So if you can realize that, if you can drop the ego, your savings rate will just skyrocket. You don't need a raise. You just need to care less.
Okay, but devil's advocate here. If I'm not buying the car and I'm just stacking up money that I can't see, what's the point? What am I actually buying?
You are buying freedom. You are buying the only thing that actually matters.
Control over your time.
That is the highest dividend that money pays. If you have no savings, you're a slave to your next paycheck. You have to tolerate a boss you hate. You are fragile.
You have no margin for error.
But if you have wealth, those hidden savings, you have options. You can say, I'm quitting this job to look for something better. You can say, my kid is sick, I'm taking the week off.
So you're not saving for a thing. You're saving for autonomy.
Exactly. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you